From PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs
and WETA,
this is On Our Minds
with Ashley
and Tyler,
a podcast about the teenage experience made by teenagers for teenagers.
Because we all need a place to feel heard.
Tyler, what's up? How you been lately?
I've been very busy, very excited for this first episode as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It still doesn't feel completely real. I'm going to be completely honest right now.
Yeah, definitely. So our longtime listeners may have noticed something a little different about the intro. The winner of the On Our Minds theme contest is Jackson Teedens, a 16-year-old from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
What you just heard is an original composition that he wrote and recorded. Shout out to Jackson.
I'm really excited about today's episode because it's all I can think about. Life after high school. Personally, as a senior, it's really become the most pressing thing of the year for me. College applications have been due this last month and scholarships and everything like that. And honestly, I've never been more nervous or scared about anything in my life because I just feel like there's so many different things that can happen in this next upcoming year. How do you feel?
Oh my gosh, some of the people I've met this year, I've met them solely just because they opened up the conversation, or I opened up the conversation with just like talking about our future.
Only about half of high school graduates can say they definitely plan on going to college. Our first student reporter and one of our former On Our Minds hosts, Zion Williams, talks to two people from her Detroit area high school who have chosen not to go to college for very different reasons. Here's Zion.
My parents attended college, so it's where I saw myself at the end of my high school career. But for students who can't necessarily afford college or want to take a different route in their career, their experiences can be very different. Here's Noah, who graduated from my high school a few years ago and decided not to go to college.
I liked school, but I didn't like the learning and the reading. That was very difficult for me.
My friend Bailey isn't planning on going to college either. In fact, she's kind of opposed to the whole idea of college.
You have to have this education, but it's treated more like a business and not trying to evolve people so that they can actually figure out what they want to do.
According to the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, there's been a decrease in the number of students attending colleges and universities. Before the pandemic began, there were over 1 million more students enrolled in college than there are now. Here's Bailey again.
It is kind of stressful, the fact that I'm not going to college in a weird way, because I feel like a lot of people are talking about that as their next move. It's not a pressure to go, but you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. My plan for the moment is just to work and save up money. On the side, I do kind of want to start building up a little business, whether it be on Etsy or me going to art fairs. I don't want to go out of high school and be in debt early in my life. I'm only 17. I'll be 17 when I graduate. If I want to go to college, that's something I can do later in life when I'm financially stable to do that.
Personally for me, I feel some pressure from my family to attend college, and I know if I ever made the decision not to, it would be hard to break away from that pressure.
The other day, a coworker asked me if I was going to college, and I said no. And she was pretty shocked by the fact that I said that. She was like, "You're not going to college?" And I was like, "No, I don't have the money. I don't have the means to go to college. So I'm okay with not going right now." It's almost like you feel a disconnect from those people. Put it blatantly, it sucks because certain people are more well endowed when they're born, so that's not something that they have to worry about. I've always had to worry about that, and that's always been a stress for me, and it definitely shouldn't be like that.
The cost of college education has been steadily rising for decades. If you look at a college tuition increase graph, it looks like a steep slope. Even accounting for inflation, college costs have more than tripled in the last 50 years, and wages have not kept up.
You can live a life and you can do stuff that you want to do. You don't have to be confined to what society tells you need to do.
Bailey spoke on future plans, but what about the students who have already graduated high school, decided not to go to college, and are now working on their career? I spoke with Noah, a content creator and entrepreneur who created his own startup brand right out of high school and did not attend college. He's very popular on TikTok with over 100,000 followers.
What do I do for a living? Never went to college. I'm a music photographer and videographer.
Every single day, my job is kind of different. So maybe one day I have a photo shoot or one day I'm traveling. It's kind of just, it's always changing, but that's my favorite part about it. During COVID, it was very hard for me to create videos. So I picked up TikTok and I started doing TikTok every single day. And then brand deals started coming in. So I decided not to go to college. I think my sophomore year of high school, I was playing a lot of baseball back then, and I thought that was kind of what I was going to do, go to college playing baseball, do some sort of degree. But then I found that video class, and ever since then, I just fell in love with it. I think that's what really led me to choose not to go to school, like saving money and just jumping right into it. What I've learned from it is just taking every single day in as it goes, and just I have a lot of goals in mind and what I want to achieve, but also just nailing in on the little things that I have to do every single day to make my business run.
Bailey and Noah's stories show that hard work and passion lead to success, whether that path includes college or not.
I related a lot to what Bailey was talking about when they said college really feels like a business, especially because of how expensive college is now. It just, for a lot of people, it's just not feasible, and it just doesn't make sense to spend that much money or to go into debt. I've talked to some people and they said that they expect to be paying their loans off until they die, which is something that, I don't really want to have to do myself.
There's a conversation to be had about how the image of success is so different now than it was, say, even like 20, 30 years ago. Like, I'm sure that my vision of success is very much so different from my parents or my grandparents, and that might be because they are not American. But I'm sure a lot of people can relate with the fact that what they might define as success now isn't necessarily the traditional path that's been laid out for them.
Just where I'm from, everybody kind of is expected to go to college. The question is never, oh, what are you doing after high school? It's always, what college are you going to? There's a lot of stigma on not going to college also that has been talked about before, but even going to community college, like, oh, you're going to go to community college? Like, why not just go to a regular college or a real college, they'll say, as to try to make you feel like going to community college is not as good an option, when honestly, for some people, it might be a better option. It's cheaper. You might get to stay at home for a little bit longer and really get to grow into yourself as you take yourself through your college process.
Next, we're going to hear from our reporter Elena Tran in San Diego, who spoke with some friends, including one who was considering community college.
For Vianne, a senior in high school, getting into college has been a lifelong obsession and accumulation of everything she's ever done.
I will feel kind of like a failure, get very depressed if I get one bad grade, because it kind of seems like that bad grade is because I'm not trying hard enough. And it shouldn't have happened. I should have been able to control that grade.
Much like other students similar to Vianne, planning for the future comes with daunting tasks.
Because the processes of applying to colleges are very, very stressful for someone who's based their entire life on this kind of decision. And I think that why I'm procrastinating is I'm scared to go to college. These essays are really challenging. You have to capture your whole self in 300 words. And then I'll worry about if I'm not missing something that would get me in, if I'm missing that one detail that would separate me from the rest.
Sophia, a recent high school graduate, shares her mental struggle with finding a path meant for her.
I just kept pushing off the college topic for a really long time. It was hard, but I think internally I knew that I wanted to go to community. I was like, is this a good idea? Should I be going to community? Educationally, am I gonna get less education because I'm going to community? That. But at the end of the day, it's all the same.
The judgment that comes with choosing a path that does not include a typical college can make one rethink their decisions.
I think my freshman year, when college came up, in topics and stuff, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about community. That kind of seems like a good option for me. Even as a freshman, I was that makes more sense for me. I don't see myself like making a decision when I'm 18 to spend 4 years of my life somewhere. When people ask me like, what's your plan next year? I would just say, I don't know, because I didn't want them to like say stuff about community and everything. And that's really the only reason why I applied to 4 years, is because like people always had something to say. So it makes you feel really dumb and bad about yourself when like you choose an option that's like deemed less than, like that's not a 4 year and that's not normal. These like really stuck up smart kids to just be like, oh, like, why would you go to community? Like, why would you want to do that? Like, you can literally go to community and then be a doctor. They just had so much to say about like your own life.
I think that honestly, like they were saying, just do what's right for you. At the end of the day, this is your life, this is your story, and you should really make that decision for yourself. And I'm honestly having to learn that myself as well. So this was a very real piece for me as well. Thank you. I don't know why I said thank you.
It was like a TED Talk. It was lovely. Finally, we're going to bring in one of our reporters to talk to us about a conversation she had with a family friend who is currently a freshman at Harvard. Welcome to On Our Minds. Anumta, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Anumta. I'm a junior at Stephen F. Austin High School. It's in Sugar Land, Texas.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We heard that you interviewed your friend Yasmin for this episode. Is that correct?
Yasmin and I have known each other for a really long time, since we were little kids. She is currently a freshman at Harvard, so like for a long time we've been kind of bonding over wanting to go to Ivy League schools. And then my brother also, he got into Princeton, and I, have been close to those kinds of students for a long time.
That definitely sounds like a lot of pressure to grow up around. So how do you personally feel like you deal with it, knowing that applying for colleges is going to be such a big part of your life next year?
It's definitely very stressful, like junior year especially, with all the APs, all the extracurriculars, because this is kind of like your only year to like fill your resume, I guess. I'm just trying to like not freak out about grades. Like a high B is still a high B, like that's still okay. Like certain scores on the PSAT, the SAT, I feel like no matter what, I'm going to get the same education at a college. So I'm just trying to reassure myself that, no matter what, I'm going to get to the same place eventually. So I actually ended up talking to Yasmin about this as well. And then here she is talking about her experience applying.
So it didn't actually begin in senior year for me. It began in junior year. So when we started taking the PSAT and MSBT for national merit, and when we started having more of the rigorous classes, I was constantly thinking that I wouldn't be able to get into college anywhere, even in junior year. So it was very difficult for me at that point. And I didn't really know how to cope with it. And my parents were getting very worried. So I actually started seeing a therapist. And I think that was definitely the best decision that I could have had at that time. I don't think I would have been able to cope with the amount of stress that I was dealing with if I didn't have a therapist, if I didn't have just anyone to talk to, anyone to really open up about. That was probably one of the worst times in my life.
And then I also asked Yasmin what she would do differently now that she can look back at her application process.
I'm wary to say that I would necessarily do anything differently, because to me, it seems like what I did worked. Looking back on it now, yes, that sucked. It was terrible, but I'm here now. I guess the only thing that I would say is I'd probably reach out more to my support systems. I think I kind of underestimated the amount of support that my college advisors could give me, or that my friends or my parents in general could give me. I felt like a lot of the time I needed to do things on my own because I didn't want to be seen as less of a good student or less of a person for needing help. I think that's a struggle with a lot of people.
And lastly, I asked Yasmin how she deals with stress today.
For me, journaling helps. I know it's not for everybody, but that's something that I picked up from my therapist. Going to those sessions and talking things through with another person is so helpful, but also internalizing how I feel, kind of thinking it through, taking a lot of time for myself. I didn't used to do this before, but I go on walks a lot, and self-care is a really good thing that you can do. But sometimes I find that self-care is just being able to say that I went to to bed doing like having done my skincare routine, or like being able to say that know that I went to bed and I like read 2 pages of a book that I really like just doing small things that make me feel better about myself, and kind of distance myself from the stressful situation that I'm going through is very, very helpful to me. If you're looking to apply for really top colleges, then you have to have a certain amount of like self-motivation and like rigor. For the mental health aspect, try not to tie your self-worth to the grades that you get, the colleges. Like academic validation can feel nice, but really try your best to kind of separate yourself. Like you are not the grades that you get, you are not the colleges that you get into, you are not even the colleges that you apply to.
I know for me and the classes that I'm in, it's like everybody else around you is always talking about their grades, always comparing themselves with other people, and always bringing up their grades and how their parents push them or don't push them in a certain area or whatever. And the conversation is constantly being brought up.
I went from being literally first and second in my class to my class rank dropping a little bit, and then having like these really difficult classes and seeing my grades like drop a little bit from what they used to be. And for a long time, it made me really sad and it made me really stressed. But right now, I'm at a point where I am putting in a lot of effort, but I'm not going to like stress myself out. I'm not going to make myself like cry at night over something that I ultimately I can't change it at the end of the day. So I'm kind of trying to just like accept the fact that I can't get 100 on everything, and that that's good enough for me. Like my best is genuinely good enough for me. And if it's not good enough for someone else, then that's really just their problem.
We really appreciate your input and your interview with Yasmin. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anumta.
And good luck next year and beyond. We're all cheering for you, man.
Thank you both.
So, as we're coming up on winter break, many of you will be receiving results, many of you will be preparing to send in your applications, and some of you guys might not be thinking about college at all. But I think what's really important is that all of you guys get to take a really nice, happy break this winter and hopefully just take some time to yourself, try and hang out with some friends, maybe go ice skating, do all the little fun teenage stuff.
And what's next? After the new year, we're bringing you an episode with LeBron James.
Students at I Promise Middle School in Akron, Ohio got to speak with him recently. It's gonna be great. Have a great winter break, everyone.
Have a good one. Today's segments were produced by Zion from FV Pankow Center in Clinton Township, Michigan.
Anumta from Stephen F. Austin High School in Sugar Land, Texas, and Roury, Elena, and Malena from Westview High School in San Diego, California.
This episode was produced by youth media producer Becky Wandel with help from lead podcast producer Briget Ganske.
Editorial director Marie Cusick and executive producer Leah Clapman.
Theme music by Jackson Teedens.
Additional music by Blue Dot Sessions.
If you or someone you know needs help, we have a list of resources at studentreportinglabs.org/mental health resources.